again. Apologies for the delay. We've been having connectivity issues and technology has failed us. We're going to start our program. I want to welcome all of you and acknowledge the presence of our women leaders, Minister of Gender, Child Social Welfare, Honorable Ayawa Rile, Minister of Defense, Honorable Angelina J. Tain, Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Joseph Lagu. We have women from political parties as well here present. Honorable Mary Apai, the acting chair of SPLM Women League. We also have Honorable Teresa Cericio from Sano National Party, our facilitator, and Dr. Anne Ito. We have women from civil society, and also we have women from, we have with us the head of UNIMIST field team, Central Equatoria, Gita Pius, present in the room. I also acknowledge a representative of women from disabilities, South Sudan, Josephine Kiden, back there with the interpreter. Josephine, thank you for joining us. We also have people joining us live online. So I also acknowledge the presence of our online participants. I'm sorry for the internet connectivity because we have too many devices logged in, but we'll just try our best. To upon Ms. Gita Pius, the head of field office of UNMISS Central Equatoria, to give us a general introduction of and objectives of the meeting. Gita, you're welcome. Kindly remain unmuted while the meeting is on to avoid the echo. Because it's slides.
Honorable Minister of Defense, Honorable Minister of Gender, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Honorable members of the East African Parliament, representative of the SPLM party, prominent members of all the political league, civil society members, all the prominent women of South Sudan, and ladies and gentlemen, Salam Alaikum. As you stated, that with the Office of UNMISS Operations in Central Equatoria State, it is a great honor for me to have today to open this session. As 2020 marks the 20th anniversary of the Security Council Resolution 1325 of Women, Peace and Security, women across the globe strive forward to be recognized and observe whether the commitments made through the landmark resolution that 1325 have materialized and honored my member states. So as an International Women's Day, most of the countries in all over, they all look at that it is whether we materialized any of these recommendations. So women in South Sudan are also not exception. You may all know that the South Sudan was the newest country of the 21st century. It should have been developed as the model nation wherever that the people wanted to see, with the representation of the women as well. But unfortunately, we fall into a conflict within ourselves. And that conflict actually the revitalized peace agreement actually recognized women's space in the governance through appropriating a 35% quota of women's participation in decision-making, political portfolios, and governance. Women in South Sudan have struggled across the board for this inclusion and representation at the decision-making levels and to be assigned to political appointments. I think 2-3 months ago, actually, the UN actually have a virtual meeting for all the people represented in the peace negotiations in the South Sudan. And it was that one point was noted that actually we got the political representations, but we are not enough women representation in the implementation mechanisms. So that may be once we just not getting into 35%. However, we still have a time to work for on that. The 35% quota stipulated in the revitalized agreement is the fruit of women's effort through the civil society and the coalition groups that pushed their way to the negotiation table and displayed their women's agenda to be included and requested for an extra 10% in governance, slightly more percentage than preceding 25%. However, to realize this 35% participation, women must further fight hard to get into the political portfolios and be meaningfully represented. Although various efforts were being exerted by various active women groups and civil society organizations, put in writing statements and press releases that seem to be not to be enough for their just cause. More holistic approaches need to be strategized and extended throughout the different levels, grassroots, subnational, and national levels. You may, now that we have honorable ministers present here, they all come from that 35% of the quota. But if you look at the local government structures, even national portfolios, we still are far behind. I checked at it, even the Central Equatorial state government structures, even we only 29% at the ministerial level. And county commissioners level, there is no zero representations. So it is not only the ministerial level, but also the other part of the local structures, the advisors or the county commissioners, the grassroots level representation. We still need that. Countries in the world, the women struggle more. So the mere percentage is maybe not only seen as a representation. How effectively we represent, how effectively we take the decision-making seats, that is very important. I come from India, where there was, in 1970s, we have the most powerful lady as the Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. But however, still in the women in India struggle to be represented at the decision-making levels. So the women currently at the decision-making levels, how do we support each other and how strong they will be? That is a very, very important steps. So on that insights that we saw in the world, all over the world, and even in the developed countries, how the women suffer that it is to take into the decision-making bodies. So the UNMISS Gender Affairs Unit is seeking collaborate with some of the prominent women in politics in South Sudan, experienced women leaders and women peace builders, and as approach for supporting the implementation of the gender provisions manifested in the ARCSS, particularly on the participation of women in governance structures and political apparatus in South Sudan. So in this forum, we are here for today and tomorrow. We are actually looking for design a viable approach and strategy for the participation of the women and placing them into the decision-making level. So how we make the real progress in decision-making. So that would be one of the objectives, yeah? We design the viable approach, how we can actually to participate the women and the right decision-making bodies. And to come up with the strong recommendations to know who the institutions to be approached, position paper on the 35% implementation. My dear sisters, when we promote that, we actually have to promote a collective will. Collective will is important to achieve the women in leadership and also in the 35% quota. We cannot go without men. We need to bring the men along with us. So we need to be identified, and that it is to how to promote the collective will. And look at the accountability to attain the commitment of the relevant institutions and the political parties and the peace guarantors and the signatories of the peace agreement. Because this 35%, the RARCS was supported by the international community and IGAD, and how they will also support. And that accountability also, as a woman of South Sudan, you have to ask and you have to demand that collective responsibility, that accountability from the guarantors. And we look at that, the timeline, and then how do we implement, how we create the awareness. And tomorrow, when we prepare the position paper at the end to give it to the presidency, how do we look at that the same implementation? How do we demand? And how do we create the awareness? As I stated that earlier, that the collective will, how we bring the collective will, how we bring the men together, how that all the decision makers come together, that how do we create the awareness? Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, this is an action-oriented event, and we expect that it will culminate into concrete actions that will shape for the future of the women in South Sudan. And UNMES is here to support on all the actions and all the papers works, and however, in whichever the way that it is, we can support to the women to realize that not 35%, we are 50%, we need the 50%. But also remember that now we have ministers in very serious positions, Minister of Defense, Minister of Agriculture. It is a very prominent positions even in the world. How do we support them without any parties, no parties, but how do we support all the ministers, and how we will also make that the women in South Sudan is very well placed in the decision making. And it is that you see that it is from the world, all over the world. The women was part of the decision making. That world, that nations are progressed very well. So we make that sure that the women in South Sudan are part of the decision making. Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you, Gita, for the remarks. This meeting is a collaboration between UNMISS and South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum, and I take this opportunity to thank UNMISS for supporting the meeting. I'm going to call upon Betty Imoya from South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum to give us few remarks outlining expected outcomes of this meeting. Betty, please, you are highly welcome to the podium.
Honorable Ministers, our women leaders, the Minister of Defense available here, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Gender, the Honorable Member of Parliament in East Africa Community, Honorable representatives of various political parties, the UNMISS, Central Equatorial, head of UNMISS, Central Equatorial State, the RGMEC, the UN representatives from other UN organs, the international community, the WPS group, South Sudan Women Intellectual Team, Organizing Committee, participants, all protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of South Sudan Women Intellectual, I would like to thank all the participants who have turned up for this important program concerning Women Leadership Forum, especially on political participation. South Sudan Women Intellectual Team would like to thank the political parties for incorporating women in the various portfolios of government. We particularly thank the political parties which have tried their level best at least to come to somehow to 35%. Although our findings tells us that there is no political party that have reached the 35%. Just in case there is any, you can come and tell us here. We will also incorporate into that, but we try to do all this report. There is none that have reached the 35%. South Sudan Women Intellectual affirms that 35% is a number. It's not just a political theory for trapping or attracting women to join political parties or government. For example, if there are 10 portfolios, we expect the number of women should be 4, because 3.5 is what? Is 4. If there is 100 portfolios, we expect women to be 35. That's why we are saying it's not just a political theory, but it's a number. Regarding our position is that regarding the status of 35%, it's not fully implemented, as we have said. South Sudan women intellectual and the people on this platform, for sure, some of them would like to hear how other countries have tried their best to achieve their affirmative action. We'll surely hear from the panelists later so that we can also copy from them and we try to expedite like how other countries have done theirs. We would also like to understand from the UN how we can increase chances for women to achieve the 35% affirmative action in this country. We henceforth applaud the civil society team. The civil society have been working so much. It's not just yesterday, but even during the war, they have been the one who are really coming up with this issue of women and their participation in government. We thank them. They have done a very wonderful job all this time around. South Sudan women intellectual is calling upon women, all the women across the political parties, not just one women group. They should find a platform where they can discuss this kind of issues, regardless of their political affiliations, because 35% is not necessarily for one party, it's actually for all political parties. So sometimes as women, we need to get this kind of chance. We come up as a team and we discuss of how we can make use of it. South Sudan women intellectual expect signatories of peace agreement also to notify this, because it's almost like, it's almost like a breach of principle of agreement. If we analyze deeper, 35%, as we said earlier, it's for all political parties. There's one political party which actually even have like 10%. There are those who have gone to 32% or 30%. We acknowledge we have good women leaders, especially the ones we have in this platform. We are not saying because they are here. So we want more of their kind. We are looking for quality leadership, not just a quantity of leadership for women. Because if we are looking for quantity, this is when people start saying we have given them chance, but they have failed. So we need this kind of this quality that we have right now with us in this women leadership on political participation. Our expected outcome for this panel is that we would like to come up with a concrete strategies and approaches to address issues of women, meaning participation in quality of women into governance and political parties so that they can participate well in decision making. Secondly, the recommendation from this platform, we would like it to go ahead to be delivered to the leadership, especially the presidency, for endorsement and consideration. Actually, at least to set for us a basis for governance in this country of how women can participate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Betty Imoya. South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum is a non-for-profit global platform that brings together intellectual women from South Sudan to share experiences, to talk about issues pertaining to women in South Sudan. And we really acknowledge the opportunity given by South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum to women of South Sudan to come together and bring up these kind of issues. And now I call upon Honorable Aya Benjamin Warile, the Minister of Gender, to officially open the meeting. Honorable Aya, you're welcome. You can, if you're happy, you can come to the podium, it's better.
Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here today and to attend this and be part of this meeting, which is organized by South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum and UNMISS on Women Leadership Forum on Political Participation. I want to start by honoring all the fallen heroines and celebrate all the women of South Sudan on the occasion of Women's Day.
And Aisha, I celebrate you in a very special way. I also want to say that I have 3 groups of very special women that I also want to mention here. One, women living with disabilities, and the second one, women whose efforts are not recognized or nobody's talking about. Sorry. Okay. And the third group are the widows whose contributions are forgotten. You hold a very special. I celebrate all of you. I want to appreciate South Sudan Women Intellectuals Forum on this occasion. The Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare has the mandate of gender mainstreaming, social justice, and safeguarding the welfare of vulnerable people. Therefore, this meeting is very important for us as a ministry, and we are taking the lead on the implementation of the 35% affirmative action. I urge all of us here to work together. We put our efforts together in realizing this. Let us not waste a lot of time on blames and fights, but concentrate the 35% affirmative action. I also urge everybody here to support us. Those of us who are here on the 35% ticket. I wish everybody here a fruitful day as we deliberate on this special and important topic. And I pray that we will meet the objectives of the meeting and the expectations. Thank you very much once again. And with this, I officially declare the meeting open. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Aya, for the official opening of our meeting. And now we're going to start our first panel discussion. So I call upon the 2 panelists to join Bridget on the podium. Molana Atong Majunkur, please, if you can join, and Honorable Aya, the 2 of you can join the podium. We're going to start our first panel discussion, and it's going to be about the implementation of 35% affirmative action in South Sudan. As I wait for the panelists, perhaps I just want to give an apology again because we are running behind schedule. Sorry for the late starting, and also technology issues and connectivity. You can get him. You can sit in the middle. The 35% implementation has been an issue of concern to all the women from different sectors. Women from civil society have been giving an outcry. Even our political leaders, they have tried their best. And today we have come together from different stakeholders to really look into the reason why the 35% is not implemented. And our first presenter I'm going to introduce our first panelist, which is Bridget Nagomoro. Bridget Nagomoro is founder of Iba Girls Boarding School. She's a role model and advocate for girls' education. Currently, she's a staff at Juba University. Also, she's the project manager of South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum. Bridget Nagomro, we appreciate your participation with South Sudan Women Intellectual and the hard work you're doing for the women and girls of South Sudan. Our second panelist is Molana Tongmujunkur. Molana Tongmujuk is a lawyer and a trained journalist. In fact, she is the head of board of directors of Media Authority. She's also a human rights lawyer and a women rights activist. She's a member of National Women Alliance for Women Lawyers and also a member of South Sudan Association of Women Advocates. She has participated in a review of number of laws, including security sector law and political parties law. Mulana Tong, we are very happy for you to be part of this panel discussion. I also want to really, in a special way, thank and appreciate our Minister of Gender, Honorable Aya Benjamin Warile. Honorable Aya Benjamin Warile is currently the Minister of Gender, Child Social Welfare. Previously, before taking up that portfolio, she was a senior staff of the Ministry of Animal Resources and Fisheries. Honorable Aya has studied the College of Natural Resources, Juba University. She's very passionate about women and girls and children's rights. Honorable Aya, we're very happy for you to be part of this panel discussion. And the first panelist will be Bridget Nagomro. South Sudan Human Intellectual Forum has embarked on an analysis of the recent appointments of the 35% in the states, and they have done a great job. They have done a thorough analysis of the appointments. So Bridget will give us a presentation on that analysis. Can you share the screen? Our apologies, we're having serious internet challenges here in the room. So our first panelist will be using the podium. My work is there.
My work is so easy. It was selected by work statistics.
So they're now changed.
You said it were here. This one. This one. First one. This is the second.
British people have shared the screen, but it's just
First one. This one's the second. Okay, got it. Where is it? It's written what? It's what? It's the second one. First one. Which one? This one? The first one? This is the first one. Alternative. Put the one down. It's the second one. It's the first one. The second. Yeah, this is the first. The second one. This is second. The second. The second. First is just the white man. White man is the first. Take that money. You mean you have created the same things appearing, but is the second. Something ways. It's the second. But is the second. The first is appointment. Just got appointment. It was on when you pulled it. When you shifted there. It was on. I was on the bottom. Because it cannot be shaped like that and open another one. This is the one. See that three is one. Open. I will show you. Just this is the one. Yes, this is the first. What's happening that you see the screen? Leave it. It's so tiny. Yes. This number is not very fast. Okay. Can you just search into these things, please? What is happening? I don't know where the light is. Thank you. Please leave it. have covered it. Apologies once more. Honorable members, distinguished guests, all protocol is very much observed. I'm really glad to have this privilege, and I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present the statistics of the recent state government appointments of governors, deputy governors, advisors, state ministers, independent commissions, and county commissioners. Upon the announcement of the appointments on the national television, the South Sudanese women intellectuals took it upon themselves to analyze and calculate the percentage of women in the appointments. South Sudanese women intellectual did this analysis as part of its commitment to ensuring accountability, commitment, and adherence to the 35% affirmative action. The statistic that I will be presenting right away now is driven from the actual appointments that we had. I will present the state appointments first, and then the second part of the presentation will be on the parties and their adherence to the 35% affirmative action. Now, allow me, since we had time, we have wasted some time, to take you through the appointment statistics that we came up with. South Sudanese women intellectual calculations and analysis of the gender allocations of the state appointments, governors, deputy governors, state advisors, ministers, independent commissions, and county commissioners. States, gender, governors, deputy governors, ministers, percentage of women state ministers, advisors, percentage of women state advisors, independent commissions, percentage of women in independent commissions, county commissioners, percentage of county commissioners. Now, state by state. First, Central Equatorial. In Central Equatorial State, we see female and male. As governors, female 0, male 1. Deputy governors in Central Equatorial State 1, female, male 0. And ministerial position, we have 5 women on board and 12 men. Percentage of women here is 29.4%, men 70.6%. Excellent, they've done their part. Advisors, 1 female, 4 male. Percentage of women, 20%, male, 80%. Independent commission, female 0, male 6. Percentage of women in independent commission, 0%, men 100%. County commissioners, female 0, male 6. Percentage 0% for male and 100% for female. Now, Northern Baragazal state. Are we together? Thank you. Northern Baragazal state, female 0% in governance, male 1. Deputy governor 0, female 1, male. Ministers in Northern Baragazal, 3 female, 14 male. Percentage of women 17.6%, male 82.4%. Advisors in Northern Baragazal state. We have 4. We have 1 female
and 4 male. 80%, 20% for female, and 80% for male. Then we have the independent commission. We have 1 female and 5 male. 116.7%, 83.3%. Then we come to the county commissioners in Northern Baragazal. We have 0% for female and 5% 5 for male. That means 0% for women and 100% for women. For men, sorry, 100% male. Now we move on to Unity State. The same, female and male. In governorship, female 0, male 1. In deputy, female 0, male 1. In ministerial position, 3 female, 14 male. Percentage to women, 17.6. Male, 82.4%. When you move on to the advisors, we have the 0% for female and 5 for male. Then percentage 0, 100% for male. Then we move on to independent commission 0 and 4 for male. Percentage 0 and 100% male. Then county commissioners 0 for female, 7% for male, 0% female, 100% male. We move on to Warapa State. Female and male. Governorship 0, male 1. Deputy governor 1 female from Warapa, 0 male. Then when we come to the ministers, we have 2 female ministers from Warapa State and 15 male. Then when we come to the percentage, we have 11.8% female and then 88.2% male. Now we move on to advisors. In Warapa State, we have 0%, 0 for female and 5 for male. 0% female, 100% male. We move on to the independent commission. 0 for female, 6 for male. 0% female and 100% male. Move on to county commissioners. 0 to female, 6 for male. 0% female, 100% male. That is for Warapa State. Let's move on to Jongole State. Female and male, the same. When we go to the governors, female 0, male 1. The deputy governor, female 0, male 1. Ministers 2 female, 15 male. Percentage 11.8%, 88.2%. Advisors, female 0, male 5. Percentage 0%, 100% for male. Move on to independent commissions. 0 for female, 6 for male. Percentage 0 female, 100% male. Move on to county commissioners. 0 to women, 9. Yes. Jongole State, county commissioners, 0. Then male, 9. When you come to the percentage, 0% to female, 100% to male. Let's move on to Western Equatorial State. Western Equatorial State, female and male. In governorship, 0. Female, 1 governor male. Deputy, female 0, male 1 deputy. To ministerial position, 4 female, 13 men. The percentage 23.5%, 76.5% for male. Advisors 0, 5 male. Percentage 0 to female, 100% to male. Independent commissions 1 female, 5 male. Percentage 16.7%, 80% male. County commissioners, we have 2 female and 8 male. Female 20%, male 80%. Move on to Western Baragazal. Female and male the same. In governorship, 1 female, male 0. And the deputy, female 0. Coming to the ministerial position, 4 female, 13 male. Percentage 23.5%, 76.5%. Advisors in Western Baragazal, 1 female, 4 male. Percentage 20% female and 80% male. Independent commissions, 1 female, 5 male. Percentage 16.7 and male 83.3%. Count commissioners in Western Baragazal, female 0, 3 men. Percentage 0% to female and 100% to male. Lex State, female 0, female 0 in governorship, deputy 0 in ministerial position 3, percentage 17.6, in independent advisors 2, 40%, independent commissions 2 female, percentage 33.3%, county commissioners 0 and 0% to female. We move on to Upper Nile State. In governorship, we have 0 female and 1 male. That's Upper Nile State. Deputy, female 0 and male 1. Ministerial position, 2 female and 15 male. Percentage 11.7%, 88.3%. Advisors, 1 female, 4 male. 20% to female, 80% to male. Independent commissions, female 0, men 6, 0 to 100% male. County commissioners, female 0, male 12. Of course, male score 100%, female 0%. Let's move on to Eastern Equatorial State. Eastern Equatorial State, female in governorship 0, male 1. In deputizing the governor, we have 1 female, 0 male. Ministerial position, we have 5 female and 12 male. Percentage 29.4% to 70.6% for male. Now we move on to advisors. We have 1 female and then 4 male. 20% to 80% of male. We move on to independent commissions. In Eastern Equatorial State, we have 2 female advisors and 4 male. 16.7% to 83.3% male. County commissioners in Eastern Equatorial State, 0. 8 male. 0% to 100% male. Now, we have already completed 10 states in South Sudan. Let's move on to cumulative total across the 10 states. We have seen that female in governorship, there is 1 lady, female 9. Cumulative total, female 1, male 9. Deputy to the governors, 3, 7 male. Total of the female ministers in the 10 states, 34 to 136 male. Then the percentage is not there because this cumulative total. We move on to advisors. We have 7 female and 43 advisors across the 10 states. Independent commissions, we have 7 female and 55 male across the 10 states. When we come to the county commissioners, we have only 2 female in Western Equatorial State, 72 out of 79 counties. Now, the overall percentage from the appointment. Female, we have 10% in the governorship, 90% to male. In the deputy, we have 30%, and then for male, they have 79%. Look at the advisors, the ministers, we have 20% and 80% to male. We skip this one and move to the advisors. We have 14% to 86% male. Then when we come to the independent commission, we have 11.3% to 88.7%. County commissioners, we have 2.0% to 97.3%. That's the overall appointment that we had this year. Now, allow me to take you to the different parties, the way they had allocated female in the current formation of the government. I need somebody to come, please. Second. Second.
This is the first one. Go to
Click.
where?
Okay.
This is another one.
Okay, now this is the calculation we had and the analysis of the gender allocations of the state appointments per party. In governorship, deputy governors, state advisors, ministers, independent commissions, and county commissions. States, just as what I read before, we see the heading gender, you see SPLM, and then percentage of women in ITGON. And then SPLM-IO, you see the percentage there they have, and then SOA, the percentage women have in SOA, and then OPP, other parties, the percentage have in this current appointment. Allow me to take you through. Central Equatorial State, in the SPLM Antigone, we have 4 women in the ministerial position, and then male 13. Of course, the percentage here is 23.5 to 76.5%. Now, SPLM-IO, we have only 1 female and 8 male. The percentage for the IO women in SPLM-IO is 11.1%, 88.9%. We move on to SOA. In Central Equatorial State, they have 2 female and 4 men. When we go to percentage of women in SOA, we have 33.3%, while there is 66.7% in SOA. When we go to OPP, other parties, in Central Equatorial State, we have 1 female and 3 male. Percentage of women in OPP, other parties, 25%, and 75% male. We move on to Northern Baragazal. SPLM Antigone, they have 4 female and 15 male. Percentage 21 to 78. When we go to SPLM-IO in Northern Baragazal, we have 2 male and 2 female and 5 male. The percentage here is 28.6% to 71.4%. That is for SPLM-IO. Let's move on to SOA. SOA in Northern Baragazal, they have 1 female and 4 male. The percentage of women in SOA is 20%, then 80% to male. We move on to other parties, OPP. With the female in Northern Baragazal, they have 0%, they have 0, and then male 1, plus 0% to 100% male. Let's move on to Unity State. In Unity State, SPLM Antigone, they have 3 female and 20 male, 13% to 87%. Then we go to SPLM-IO. We have 0 for female and 8 male. Percentage, as you can see, 0% to 100. We go to SOA, 0 female and 4 male, 0% to female and 100% to male. Move on to OPP, other parties. Female 0, male 1, 0% to 100%. Then we can go on to Warapa State. Warapa State, when we look at SPLM Antigone, we have female 0, male 16, 0% to 100%. Then SPLM-IO, female 2, male 7, 22.2% to 77.8. Move on to SOA, 0% female and 5 male, 0% to 100%. OPP, female 0, 3 male, 0%, 100%. That's for Warapa State. Let's go on to Jonglei State. SPLM Artigon, female 2, male 18, 11 to 89%. SPLM IO, female 0, 9 men, 0% to 100%. SOA, female 0, 4 male, of course 0% to 100%. Move on to OPP, other parties, 2 female, where am I? 0 female, 2 male, of course 0% to 100%. Western Equatorial State, with the SPLM Artigon, we have male 14 male, 22.3 to 77.7%. SPLM IO, we have 1 female, 10 men, 90.9%, 90 to 0.9%. When we come to SOA, we have 2 female and 2 male, 50-50. Congratulations here. Then when we move on to other parties, OPP 00, we can calculate that one. So now we move on to Western Baragazal. SPLM Artigon, 5 female, 15 male. SPLM, that is 25% to 75%. SPLM IO, 3 female, 8 male, 27 to 0.3% to 72.7%. SOA, female 0, 4 male, 0% to 100. OPP, other parties, 0 to 1, 0% to 100%. Let's move on to Lexi State. Lexi State, female, SPLM Artigon 3, male 18. SPLM, 14.3% to 85%. Now, SPLM IO in Lexi State, we have 1 and 10 male. Percentage 9.9% to 90.9%. Move on to SOA, we have 2 female and 2 male. 50-50, just like the previous one. And that's the percentage, 50-50%. When you move on to other OPP, other parties, we have male, female 0, male 2, 0% to 100% male. Upper Nile State, female in SPLM Artigon, we have 3 of them, then 15 male. Percentage, you can read 16.7%, 83.3. SPLM IO, female 0, 12 men, 0% to 100%. SOA, female 0, male 8, 0% to 100%. OPP, other parties, female 0, 1 male, 0% to 100%. That's what happened in Upper Nile State. Now let's move on to Eastern Equatorial State. SPLM Artigon, we have 7 female and 13 male. That means 35% to 65%. When we come to SPLM IO, we have female 0, male 9, 0% to 100%. SOA, 1 female, 5 male, 20% to 80%. OPP, other parties, female 0, male 2, of course 0% to 100%. Now, we have finished with the 10 states according to the parties. Let us move on to cumulative total. Female have 35 positions. Male have got 157 positions in the current formation. For female, they have 18.2%, while men have got 81.8%. Female have 10.4%, while 87.6% is for male. 16% to 84% male. 5.9% to 94% male. 5.9% female to 94.0% male. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to go through this analysis. Though I've gone a little bit faster just because we had some dilemma. All the reason behind all this calculation is to allow us get to know exactly how many percentage in this current information are there for women. Has any party managed to reach 35% or not? If none, this is time for us to work hard together since the formation is going on. It's not to blame anybody, but to create awareness so that we are able to perfect where we might have learned a little bit. So thank you very much for listening to this analysis. I would like to stop here. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, the presentation of the next panelist is being put on. I just want to thank Bridget and South Sudan Intellectual Forum for doing a marvelous job. Actually, that's brilliant. It's the basis of our discussion today. and it's a thorough analysis of the recent appointment, like evidence-based findings for us to use as a base for our discussion in the next few hours to come. Now I give an opportunity to Molana Tom, our young woman lawyer, to give us a bit of the legal part and perspective of it.
They can hear me, right? Okay. Okay, Honorable Minister of Defense, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Minister of Gender, our representative from the East African Parliament, representative of the political parties, all the women leaders present in this room, be it from the state government or commissions or any other ministries, representative of UNIMIS, representative of South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum, representative of women living with disabilities, the media group, and all the online participants, not to forget anyone in this room. Good morning. And on the occasion of the Women's Day, I say Happy Women Month. For the virtual representative, do you hear me? I am being okay. 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 Difficulties with the technology. Sorry for that. Um, I'm here to present about the legal aspects of the current appointment of the women to the decision-making positions. And on this, I will start with what does the Constitution say about women's political participation. In Article 26, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan as amended, reads that every citizen shall have the right to make part in to take part in any level of government, directly or through freely chosen representative, and shall have the right to nominate himself or herself, or be nominated for a public post or office in accordance with this constitution and the law. But when we talk about the constitution and we go back to the provisions of the revitalized peace agreement, it says the supremacy of the agreement on the constitution. It says that in 8.2 reads that this revitalized agreement shall be fully incorporated into transitional constitution of the Republic of South Sudan as amended, notwithstanding this process of incorporation in the event that the provisions of national legislation or previous agreement conflict with the terms of this agreement, the terms of this agreement shall prevail, provisions of this agreement will prevail. So what do we do if a violation takes place, knowing that the agreement talks about the political participation, that the revitalized peace agreement also talk about the women participation, where it was given 35% as an affirmative action, and at the same time it has the supremacy over the constitution. What do we do? When any violation happen, we go back to the terms of reference of the RJMEC. In 7.6 reads that RJMEC shall be responsible for monitoring and overseeing the implementation of the agreement and the mandate and task of the Artigono, including the adherence, of the parties to the agreement, to the agreed timelines, and implementation is scheduled. In case of non-implementation of the mandate and task of the Artigono or other serious deficiencies, the RJMEC shall recommend appropriate corrective actions to Artigono. That means, as women of South Sudan, during this process, I don't want to say it is too late, because it is never too late when you realize what you are supposed to do. When the lists are being submitted for appointment, we are supposed to be all over checking that list. If there is anything that is not going right according to the agreement, the RJMAC is number one institution where we should go and say, there is this one that is not going right, because they are there to monitor. Regardless of the process or regardless of the decision they will take later on, RJMAC is number one institution that we should go to. Also, the East African Court of Justice, in Article 6, on the fundamental principles that shall govern the achievement of the objectives of the community by the partner states, shall include a mutual trust, political will, and sovereign equality. That is to say, any states have the sovereignty to deal with their issues, whether it is constitutional issue or any other issue. The state will have the sovereignty. South Sudan will be like Kenya and Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, any other country. There is no South Sudan has just joined. We have, all of us have the same sovereignty. But D from the same Article 6 says that good governance, including adherence to the principles of democracy, the rule of law, accountability, transparency, social justice, equal opportunities, gender equality, as well as the recognition, uh, promotion, and protection of humans and people's rights, in adherence with the provision of the African Charter on Humans and People's Rights. That will come up when someone says that uh, the East African Court of Justice is supposed to look over our issues. Yes, in fact, they're supposed to look over our issues, but, and I put it here on capital letters, a person from a member state can only access the East African Court of Justice after going through all the existing courts in his or her state. That is to say, you don't immediately go from South Sudan to East African Court of Justice and claim that there is a violation happening in your constitution. It is not allowed. And that takes us back to the sovereignty of the member states to the East Africa. That means if you are in South Sudan, you have to start with your courts in South Sudan. So which court will have the jurisdiction? Because a lot of people have been talking about South Sudan not having the constitutional court, therefore we cannot go to the court because we don't have the constitutional court. I would say the Judiciary Act 2008, Section 11, subsection 1, reads that there shall be established within the Supreme Court the following panels. And we will only take A in this case and Section 2. Section 1A says a constitutional panel to determine constitutional matters, the constitutionality of law, interpretation of laws and law and conflict of jurisdiction. The conflict of jurisdiction comes in when a particular court do not have jurisdiction on settling certain matters or certain issues, whether they are issues of interpretation or jurisdiction. Section 2 from the same subsection 2 from the same section 11 says that the constitutional panel shall be constituted by all justices, each and shall be presided over by the president of the Supreme Court, the deputy president, or any other senior justice whom the president of the Supreme Court may authorize. That is to say, the Supreme Court of South Sudan have the mandate to look over constitutional issues. Anything of violation of constitution, the Supreme Court is there to look over these issues, assuming that the the Supreme Court did not establish that panel. The law gives it gives that right to the Chief Justice. So that can be done through forming a special court that will constitute of this number that was mentioned here to be the one presiding over that constitutional matter. Therefore, we cannot say that we don't have a court that handles the cases because the Constitutional Court has not been established. Yes, it has not been established because the Judiciary Act was enacted in 2008 while we were still one country with Sudan. So our constitutional matters, we only had one constitutional court, which was in Sudan by then. It means that by 2011, when we got our independence, we should have gone back to amend these laws and work on our constitutional court. We don't have it, but this same law, because law do not leave gap somewhere, this law gives the Supreme Court the right to preside over constitutional issues. The way forward is through the political parties, the RJMEC, the Supreme Court, because we have learned now that the Supreme Court can actually handle our issues. Maybe we didn't know. Whereas the case will be between women of South Sudan in the political parties, vis-a-vis the political parties and not the government. Because when you say you are suing the government will say, we did not do it. The political parties brought their nominees and we just appointed them. So the number one person that we should target here are our political parties. Are they implementing the 35% as it should or not? So we will be suing the political parties before we sue the Artigono. What is the National Alliance of Women Lawyers going to do regarding this matter? Because I'm here representing the National Alliance for Women Lawyers. The theme of this workshop is work together towards the implementation of the 35% women quota. And the theme of the year of this year is celebration. This year's celebration is choose to challenge. And we, the women lawyers, chose to challenge. Therefore, the National Alliance for Women Lawyers will be ready to provide any legal support needed in the process, where we are ready to give legal advices. We are ready even to help you if any of the women is willing to do or to sue a certain political party for not implementing the 35% quota. That can also be done through one political party, but when we do it jointly, which is also accepted by the law, you can, when there is an interest, common interest, 2 or 3 parties or 4, or name them, you can jointly sue either one institution or jointly sue a certain number of organizations or institutions that you think have violated a certain constitutional right. This ends my presentation, and I will be ready to take questions.
Thank you so much, Advocate Atwang, for that brilliant presentation. And I think all of us have heard about the legal aspect of it, and the ball is in our court. Now I give an opportunity to Honorable Aya Benjamin to give remarks on the 2 presentations and to give us her view.
Let me start by thanking South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum for that detailed analysis. I had looked at it before, but I didn't understand it. Thank you, Bridget. And thank you, remind me your name? Atom. I think we are going to start suing some people. that should be. How are we doing? Yeah, sure. Before our commitment as a ministry, I just want to appreciate that this one is a journey, and there was actually progress. There is progress, but we still have a long way to go. Therefore, let us, like I said before, let's put our efforts together so that we can realize that. The Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare has a project to develop policy framework for effective implementation of the gender provision in the agreement. This is with the support from UNDP, Sorry about that. The development and operationalization of a law on the implementation of the affirmative action of 35% provision in the agreement is critical in our journey on gender equality. This law is important as it will provide an opportunity to the government and key decision makers in women's participation to be more accountable in implementing the 35% in the country, which has also been embedded in the Constitution. The affirmative action law will go hand in hand with the development of the oversight mechanism that will take place in the implementation of the law. This will ensure women's representation in governance structure. The process of developing the law will be taken through a consultative process and expert support. So this is what we are doing as a ministry. Thank you very much.
Sorry for the internet connectivity. It's a real struggle. Our panelists were doing a brilliant job. Now I'm going to give an opportunity for our women from political parties to comment on the analysis and give us a bit of insight. I will start with Honorable Angelina Teng. If you don't mind to come to the podium, and the other women leaders will follow from other political parties to give us your perspective. We've all seen how all the parties have failed to implement the 35%, and you've seen a thorough analysis which is evidence-based. We want you to give us your comment and perhaps a bit of a way forward.
Colleagues and participants, and I want to say happy International Women's Month. Let me say month. And I want to thank the South Sudanese Women's Intellectual Forum for providing this opportunity. This is a very important opportunity for us to really kind of reflect on fulfillment of our obligations towards the implementation of the affirmative action, women's participation, and here specifically in politics. I also want to thank the two presenters who gave us those analyses. I think this is very, very good because, you know, when you just look at numbers and we talk without factual analysis, it's sometimes very difficult to convince people. I want to appreciate the legal analysis as well. The Ministry of Gender, they also have analysis that I heard yesterday presented. I think they've done very well as well by giving analysis, and I want to also appreciate the big giant step of turning the constitutional obligation and the obligation from the agreement into a legal framework. This is appreciated. It will make it easier for us. But I want to look at the problems, and I want us to think about the problems. To me, the problem is not only the implementation of this particular article of the agreement or a constitutional obligation. It is the bigger power structure in our country and the political system that exists. And if we try to treat the women participation in isolation, we will always fall short. So it's important for us to look at all the contexts, the environment, the political space and the civic space in the country, and the nature of these political parties that are supposed to bring women forth. Why am I saying this? You would have a few women who would join the political parties, but many of the women feel discouraged from joining political parties. And this is simply because of the nature of the power structures and the system that are within those parties. So I think our first fight is really to look at the political parties' law, the political parties' bill, and that any party that does not have democratic instrument within it that allow women to have the freedom to express themselves without fear, that such a party should not be registered. I think this is one point of advocacy that we should work on, and we should look at those political parties' act to ensure that any political decide their own leaders within those political parties, to challenge within those political parties the decisions. They should have the freedom to say no, to say yes. And that is also not in isolation. It's also our own bigger political system that exists in the country. Because parties that are governing or that are ruling, if they don't practice democracy within them, it becomes difficult for them to practice democracy when they are in government. So I say, when we choose to challenge, let us not only choose to challenge the fact that the parties have failed to fulfill their obligation. Let us also choose to challenge the whole political environment that exists in the country. And it's what will give us the freedom to be able to participate equally and to reach our potential as equal counterparts with equal rights. The legal instruments that we have listened to, for me, when people say because there is no, and she explained it well, Maulana Atong, that there is no constitutional court. In fact, countries choose whether to have constitutional courts or not. But it doesn't mean that they don't deal with constitutional matters. Constitutional matters can be dealt with, and constitutional issues can be interpreted in any other court in the absence of a constitutional court. So that's not an excuse. I also want to say to the Women's Lawyers Association, you choose to challenge, to help those who want to challenge the falling short of the parties. But I want to tell you to take another step. Choose to challenge the act itself. And then the rest will support you. It will not be the first time that an association chooses to challenge a constitutional matter. Even the East African Lawyers Association have chosen to challenge a number of things in the East African Court. And our country is one of the countries that is now in court, taken by a lawyers association to the African Justice of Court, the Court of African Justice, and so on. So I also want to flag something else. Some of us, and this has come up a lot, I hear women in civil society kind of feel that the women who are already in politics and who are already in position, fulfilling these positions, are somewhat disconnected. We come to these forums. This is our engagement. You raise the issues, you find kind of tools of advocacy that you have. So we have different tools. We have different tools. We have different tools to engage. We in government, we are part of the decision making. We have the space to argue and fight for the rights of women. You, on the other hand, you have different tools, you have different spaces. And we support each other and we complement each other. And if need be, at some stages, we can also stand together and appear together and fight a case. But we need to be strategic about this. And that brings me to the next point. We as women of South Sudan should really sit down now and decide what our priorities are that we are going to be fighting together on. There was a process started by IGAT, brought the women together. A draft was done and all of this, but we as women of South Sudan, this includes the women in civil society, we fail actually to finalize that document. South Sudanese women priorities. This could provide the very space that we can really work together in, and so on. So I want to also challenge us to challenge that, our own organization and our own togetherness as women.
there's something else that usually comes up in discussion, and I also want to raise it here. I see women, and especially women in civil society, challenging that we're having the same faces of women in government. But they don't challenge that we do have the same faces of men in government. So the issue is not the same faces of women, but rather what is this political structure and political system. That, so you look at it in that context, and it brings you back to the issues of our democracy and democratic arrangements that we have in the country. So if you want to challenge, please take it holistically. I know it's difficult and it's tough, given the political environment that we have, and the forever shrinking political space and civic space that we have. But if we don't challenge it, it will continue to shrink until we'll have no space to breathe. Now we have an agreement. This agreement, the whole objective of it is really to allow for that transition, to enable for that transition. All these articles that we are talking about, they are intended for us to move to the next stage, which is a party political democracy, multi-party political democracy, and so on. So you must take it in that context. Our struggle as women for participation, we must take it from that context, and so on. I'm very appreciative of this analysis, where we take them. So legal challenge is okay, but is it going to address our concerns? Is it going to address some of the issues that I have just flagged? With this, I leave it for the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Honorable Angelina Jaitain. Honorable Angelina is the Minister of Defense. In fact, the first female Minister of Defense in South Sudan, which is an honor and privilege to all of us women. And she's also a member of the SPLM-IO Political Bureau, means that she sits in the highest top party there where decision making is made, which means she can easily push women agenda. Also, she is the chair of Defense Security Review Board, tasked with security review of the current security and defense situation, and also tasked with reform. So thank you so much, Honorable Angelina Jaitain, for your insight and for giving us your view as from a leader from SPLM-IO. Honorable Atong, Advocate Atong, choose to challenge the current existing laws. Like, the message is loud and clear, and the message for civil society and all of us, actually every stakeholder need to know their limitations and also their boundaries, and also to know what role can they play, because we are all in this together. It needs a collective effort, and every stakeholder has a role to play. Next, I'm going to give an opportunity to Honorable Madam Mary Apai. And Honorable Madam Mary Apai is the acting chair of SPLM Women League. She's also the executive director of Raise Women Hope Organization, a national organization. She holds a master's in public administration from a South African university. She's worked for women for many years, a number of years. She's a big believer that women unity and women networking is very important. And she's keen on women rights and pushing women agenda. She's going to talk to us about the perspective of SPLM political party. And by the way, she's also here acting on behalf of the SPLM Acting Secretary General, who has apologized because of conflicting priorities. Honorable Mary, you are welcome.
Honorable ministers, participants, women with special needs, the media who was with us, our representative of the East Africa community, women leaders who are with us, ladies and gentlemen. I would like first to register my appreciation and thanks to the organizers of this meeting, in particular the South Sudan Women Intellectual members who felt that it is good for them to bring us together and discuss. I am invited as Warapa to this forum, and in the evening I got a call from Honorable Gemma to come and represent her. I was arguing with her that your shoes cannot fit me, and I cannot go and talk on behalf of the Secretary General of the SPLM. But she told me, you go and say what is needed of you. You can read the program. So I called Victoria, and I tried to talk to Victoria that I will talk on my own behalf, but I will pick something from the SPLM. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just want to comment on the presenters, the panelists that have presented. I would like to thank them very much, because I think this is why we are here. We are here because of the women political participation. The SPLM, as an organization, SPLM became as a political party registered in 2010. And SPLM as a political party affirms the rights of women and will continue to promote gender equality and ensure that the voices of women is fully heard in the party, and that women are appropriately represented at all levels. This is the affirmation of the SPLM. SPLM is committed in accordance to the SPLM amended Constitution 2016, Article 11. SPLA is committed to readdress the balances created by history, harmful customs and traditions, and for the purpose of empowerment of women in the SPLM. That's why SPLM accorded the women full and equal dignity and participation at all levels of the government. The representation of women at the 35% at all levels, it was a policy of the SPLM in 2008, where SPLM requested the establishment of the Women League so that the Women League can take the responsibility of representation of women 35%. It is a policy in the constitution of the SPLM. And today, we also had the representation of 35% in the RCs, in the revitalized agreement, which is relevant to us because in the policy of the SPLM, 35% representation is there. I had my sisters talking here. I want to thank them and comment on some other things. Our achievement as women and our challenges as women. The achievement is this 25% of women representation. It did not start it now. We started it during the movement. It took us time. It took us time. It took us effort to see that women are represented. We were thinking that after the war, the men will tell us, thank you, women, go to the kitchen, you have helped us, thank you so much. That's why we prepared ourselves before they could tell us, because in the experience of Ethiopia, we went there to discuss with women, and women say they were also waiting for that word, go to the kitchen. So we say before they tell us to go to the kitchen,
let us prepare ourselves. That's why we prepared ourselves during the war to find out that women representation is there, and we were granted the 25% during the war. But after the war, that's why the SPLM came up and said, let us increase, and we have the 35%. Today, let us not look into the 35% as an obstacle of the women political participation. This is just something little to make us happy. This 35% representation doesn't take all women. It doesn't take all women. Women of South Sudan are 65%. And we are talking of the 35% within the population of South Sudan. But if we take the population of women alone, without men, this 35% is just a drop in the water, because it cannot take us. So let us not impact all the time on the 35%. Let us look into what can we do to our women. How can we raise our women from the grassroots up to the top? We are talking of 35% representation, and the grassroots level is talking about 35% gathering stones. They don't know what is the 35 representation. And it is our time, women, to go to the women at the grassroots level to tell them what this 35% is. Because if we are talking here and they don't understand, then they will tell us that the 35% you are fighting for yourself, not for us. This is one point. The second point is the issue of, my sister here said, what do we do? What do we do if our rights are violated? We are talking about the affirmative action. The affirmative action is just statements. It's not a pamphlet. It's not a book which tell us as women that when you are violated, you go here, you go there. Now we are talking about the agreement. If it is violated, we go to GMEC, we go to. But now if the agreement is ended, we have our country. We are together. Where do you go? That's why we need to prepare and review the affirmative action. What does the affirmative action say? We need to see the context of the affirmative action. We cannot talk of affirmative action as a statement. Let us talk affirmative action as a booklet that people can go to, can review it, can read it. So this is also one of the challenge that we have. The other thing is, if the violation comes, our rights are violated, where do you start? If at the local level, where do the women go? At the local level, to the chief? Where? Do we have a body there? Do we have women lawyers body in the grassroots so that the women can go to? So these are the things that we need really to look at it critically. We are just using 35% all the time, and the men now are telling, these women with the 35%. Let's also do something else. Let's do something else on the 35%. Our achievement as women, we have a lot of achievement, but we don't record them. We don't record them. Now we have the Lawyers Association. Is it not our achievement? We have women organization. Is it not our achievement? We have women in the executive. We have ministers. We have ambassadors. Is this not our achievement? We have women politicians. We have women doctors. They are there. It is our achievement as women. We have a number, even if it is a drop in the ocean, but we have them. They are there. This is our achievement. We have strong women talking, like Honorable Angelina, Mama Ann. They are talking. They are talking. You see them talking even more than the men. This is our achievement. Let us also register our achievement, my dear sisters. Let us not impact on failure. We are discriminated. We also have to register our achievements. And today, I'm very happy with this meeting, so that we sit and discuss, not blaming the political parties, because the political parties also have their own system of governance within the political party. You cannot come from another party to impose things in another party. It cannot help. We know that political parties form a government, but each political party has its own way of leadership in its political party, has its own objective, has its own principles. So even if they come together to form a government, still we say you cannot impose something. So for us as women, we should not blame ourselves. Let's go to our political parties and ask them why women are not given their 35%. Let's go to our political parties. I go back to the SPLM and ask, let me go ask my chairman and ask my secretary general and ask the committee who are doing the nominations. Let's go to them and ask, where is the 35%? But if we do it as collectively, you go and quarrel the SPLM or I go and quarrel the IO, it doesn't help us. What helps us is let's go back to our political parties and then come back to report. And then to report that I have gone, I have said, and this is what they say. So these are some of the things that I also want to put it across. Finally, without wasting time, I want to say that I believe in the unity of women. Let's unite and come up with the agenda, as Honorable Angelina has said that we did not yet completed the women priorities. I think before completing it, let's go to the grassroots level so that we hear from our women at the grassroots level, then we add into what we have, and then we come with something tangible. Sorry that South Sudan is going over transition. We are not established. We did not establish a government where it is permanent and we have a permanent constitution. It's not there. We have this interim, transition. I don't know where this thing will end. I don't know. The transition, these are the things that making women not to advance, because women are confused. Tomorrow is transition, today is Artigono, tomorrow is what? We are not established. This is all one thing that make us not to move forward. But I am very happy that we are coming up as a body to help. I thank the women organizations that are there to improve the life of women. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Mary Apai. South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum remains committed to the principles of dialogue and engagement. We're not going to quarrel with our political parties. We will continue to lobby, we continue to do the advocacy, and you at the political parties level also continue to do your part, and hopefully we'll eventually get there. It will take us time, but let's keep hope alive. Next, I'm going to call Honorable Joseph Lago. Honorable Josephine is currently the Minister of Agriculture. She's the chairperson of PDM, People's Democratic Movement, which is also one of your added to your achievements you mentioned earlier, having a woman who is heading a party. Not that only, she's also the chairperson of SOA, South Sudan Opposition Alliance, which is an alliance consisting of a number of other political parties. So before joining politics, she used to be in the world of academia. Honorable Joseph, you're highly welcome to give us your perspective from SOA.
Thank you. Is it good afternoon? I think it is good afternoon now. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I would just like us to have a minute of silence to recognize one of our fallen female heroes, a colleague. Thank you. Okay. The person I was referring to, among others, is late appropriate that we acknowledge her and others who have gone before her. I would like to thank the South Sudan Women's Intellectual Forum for inviting me to this wonderful forum alongside UNIMIS, the two that have organized this appropriate forum. Yes, it is important for us to mark the International Women's Day because whereas we are celebrating the International Women's Day today, 100 years ago, women in the Western world had no opportunity to vote. They were not politically represented. They could not even have the opportunity to cast their votes, let alone being represented in the various structures of government. So we have come a long way. We have come a long way. Even as here in South Sudan, we have come a long way. Because if we look back into the 70s and the 80s, we did not have what we have today. We have today a number of highly educated South Sudanese women in all spheres of knowledge, in education, in medicine, in engineering, in law, in businesses, and even in the performing arts, in media. And I was pleasantly surprised yesterday, was it the day before yesterday, when I was watching the virtual panelists. And we had a number of young girls who were performing, along the way. This is progress. This is progress because in the past, you could hardly see a female artist, a female singer. And today we have them. This is progress. Yes, the theme of this event is let us work together towards the implementation of the 35% women's quota in the implementation of the revitalized agreement. And I think the theme is appropriate because indeed, as it should be, we need to work together. It's not only the business of the political parties. It's not only the concern of the political parties. It is ours, all of us. Because what are the political parties? The political parties are a representation of the society. The political parties have not been plugged out of somewhere and brought and installed here. They are a reflection of our society. And therefore, the challenge is on us, all of us, to ensure that we fulfill the affirmative action that has gratefully been accorded to us by the RRCs. Yes, there are challenges, but let's not forget the achievements. I think a lot of progress has been made. Today, there are more women ministers at the national executive level than there have ever been before. The recent appointment of state governments. So, fair representation of women, even at the state level. I'm not saying that it is sufficient, but that compared to the past, it is a progress. And we should acknowledge that. We're hoping that we will have better representation of women at the transitional legislative assembly, both at the national as well as at the state levels. And we are working towards that. We are working very hard towards that. And I can here speak for the South Sudan Opposition Alliance, which is an alliance of 8 political parties. Indeed, as it has been mentioned before, I'm leading one of those 8 parties that is constituted the South Sudan Opposition Alliance. With respect to South Sudan Opposition Alliance, I think the statistics, although below expectation, comparatively is much, much better. And we hope to do more. We hope to do more. One of the challenges which we have been facing as an alliance, and which I must tell you, and especially the civil society groups, is that the parties are handicapped in a way, because you see, although we are obligated to ensure 35% representation of women, we cannot do that if the women do not join the parties. If the women don't join the parties, then we will not have women to nominate for the available position. And this has been one of the main challenges that has been faced by our member alliance. And it's good in a way that at least I'm the chair of the alliance, and so I have made it a personal responsibility to ensure that each party of the alliance at least nominates women when the opportunities are there. But each time I get told that, well, you see, we don't have women who have come forward for these positions. So if we don't have them joining our parties, how do we nominate them? And I think people should take this into account. I'm not very sure of the experience of SPLMIO or the experience of Artigono, but this has been the experience of SAO. To take that into account so that in the future we can do much, much better. So I think the way forward for the political parties is, first of all, to admit that there are challenges with respect to women coming forward to join the political parties. And also taking the time to try and understand why this is the case. Why is it that women are not coming forward to joining the political parties, especially, women who are, educated, and women who are actively working, in the civil society organizations. And I've been telling some of these women in the civil society organizations that you're coming to us to tell us, please make sure that you nominate women, and yet you are sticking to representation at the civil society. All of us who have been activists in the past. I was an activist, an academic, yes, but also an activist. And I'm sure Sister Anne here, along some of our colleagues at our level, at our generation, we were all activists. But activism is not an end in itself. It should be a means towards, achieving higher goals. So I'm directly appealing to women who are in the civil societies that, look, your time at the civil society level is up. You need to now take the extra step to step in and join the risky and the muddy, sphere of politics. Yeah, you cannot leave it to the few, women politicians. You need to come on board, come and join us so that together we can be stronger and together we can fight for gender equality. So please take that on board. Affirmative action is a short-term or maybe a medium-term strategy. As we have all recognized, we are in transition. Our country is in a transition. It has been for the last couple of years. But again, let us not beat ourselves to the ground. If we consider the political history of Western countries, the countries that we admire or we aspire to become like, they have not been in existence for 2 or 3 decades. These are countries that have been in existence for centuries, right? For centuries. And we haven't even been in existence as a country, as an independent country for 50 years, half a century. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? The affirmative action is a short-term strategy, and it should never become our long-term goal, okay? But we need to use it. Let us use this short-term remedy, yeah, for a better future. A future where affirmative action will no longer be necessary. And I, as an educationalist, I don't really see any other way. I don't see any other strategy other than that of education. We need to get educated. We need to ensure that our girls, our daughters, our nieces, okay, remain in school and proceed to higher education. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts in this struggle. We are not going to be able to have able, capable representation at the national decision-making levels or even at the state levels if we are not educated. If we are semi-educated, we will lack the confidence, right? We will lack the skills. We will lack the knowledge to represent ourselves effectively. And the onus is on all of us, the society, the parents, the uncles. In school until they achieve their educational aspiration. And for me, that will be one of the best things that we can do as a country, as a society, to ensure that we educate girls and women so that they can step up and represent us at the level where we want them to represent us. And this cannot only be in politics, and it should not only be in politics, because we also need to diversify our strategies. We're focusing only on political representation. What about other areas, other spheres of life? We need also to have women in medicine. We need to have women in engineering and technology. We need to have women in the businesses. We need to have women in performing arts, and so forth, and so forth. And in fact, I have pleasantly realized that in the case of agriculture, 67% of the small-scale farmers are women, and that is huge. And the future for us in this country is agriculture. That's the only engine of economic growth that we need to seriously invest in this country. And it is therefore good that we already have 67% of representation of women as small-scale producers. We need to improve on that. And we need to ensure that, as the door for economic development can do what we need to do as women to transform our country, to transform our society. Yes, the issue of legal remedy it is important, but in my view, it should really be the last resort. It should be the last resort, not the first course of action. The first course of action should really be, conducting further analysis on the statistics, that we have so far. The numbers are good, but let us put flesh to the numbers. Let us go deep and find out why is there, lack of women representation in the political parties. Leave the government, in the political parties. What is preventing women from joining political parties? We need to go deep and find out all the possible reasons for this. And then we can start dealing with those reasons. Failing that, of course, we can engage RGMEC to put a little pressure on the political parties. It's not bad. It's a part of their job to put a little bit of pressure on in blanket terms. I think ultimately, for us to make better use of the statistics, let us break it down. And if there is need to name and shame political parties, why not? It's a part of, political process, it's a part of political development. So we should not shy away from it. We should not be afraid of doing so. Okay, and lastly, I'll just like to make one little observation. And this is about our mindset as women. Some of you know that I've lived abroad for a long time, and so I find some of the narratives and some of the terminologies being used in the country a bit strange. And I think it's the responsibility of our women, to ensure that we don't willfully limit ourselves by ourselves, emphasizing things like, the place of women is in the kitchen, or, statements such as, Mara Sakit. All these things are negative. We shouldn't even be talking of it. You understand? We should look at ourselves as, equal partners to the other gender, to the opposite gender. From experience, and we can see even from the history, there are women who have excelled in politics worldwide, women like, Golda Meir of Israel, women like Indira Gandhi of India, women like Margaret Thatcher of United Kingdom, Helen Johnson, right? We have seen women, once they decide on something, they do it, and they do it even better than men. Okay, let us not beat ourselves down. What men can do, women can do even better, right? So we need to change our mindset. Let us change the mindset of our daughters. This business that women can only do this when women go to university, they cannot study sciences, and this has all been proven to be false. So let us not even go down that road. Let us look at men as our equal partners, and this country belongs to all of us, and it is up to us to make this country what what we want it to be, and the sort of a country that we would like to leave, behind for our children and grandchildren. A country where men and women are treated equally in law as well as in the society. Yeah, that should be our aspiration. And I believe the foundation has been laid fairly firmly, and that this generation and the next generation will pick it up from here. And the advantage is that this generation and the next generation will not have to fight the battles that some of us had to fight. Okay? Double or triple battles at the same time. Now we can only focus on, right, fighting for the rights of women, fighting for equality, fighting for equal opportunities, and so forth and so forth. And I believe this is really an easier task than the tasks that women champions in the past had to go through. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Josephine, for the insight and input. And like you said, our women have come a long way. We need to choose to challenge the situation. We need to change the narrative of women of South Sudan. And I believe that women of South Sudan are competent and they can lead any organization and they can top any position in this country. We just have to believe in ourselves and continue doing this hard work that we're doing. Now I'm going to call upon Honorable Teresa Cericio Ero. Honorable Teresa Cericio is engineer by profession. She's a former Minister of Environmental and Physical Development in then Sudan. She was also a former Minister of Communication and Information in Sudan, member of Sudanese Human Rights Group, chairperson of South Sudan Women Peace and Security Monitoring and Advocacy Group. She's also the chairperson of Sano National Party. So we do have women who are heading political parties, but we need to do like Oliver Twist did. We want more. We want more. Thank you. Come, please, Honorable Teresa, to give us your input.
Thank you very much. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you in the name of our Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. And congratulations for the Women's Day. You have made it, and you can improve it, and you can go higher. I really thank the panelists, the presenters, who came up to talk about women issues, coming up with the legal framework and the representation of women accorded to us by the various legal frameworks. The latest is the 35% representation of women according to the ACRIS, the latest peace agreement for the country. The report is excellent. I appreciate and congratulate them for that and their deep concern in coming up with this kind of report. The question is, why are we underrepresented with all this legal framework that is giving us the pivot to push ourselves up? I think it goes back to the fact that women, we are not cooperative enough. We don't have women solidarity to push women issues down to our women folks, to the grassroots. Because if we mobilize women right from down, that is where we touch the root cause of the absence of women in the political arena. Honorable Minister talked about the Minister of Gender, about being the focal point to address women issues. They have come up with a lot of documentations in terms of issues of women. The latest is the NAP, if I'm not mistaken. And they managed to establish focal points of NAP in all government institutions. And the representatives of these focal points in the different government institutions are not only women, men are there. Because as mentioned before by the previous speakers, it is a joint responsibility to bring up women in the political arena. We women alone cannot do it. Then how do we go about it? To convince the men champion to stand with us side by side, so that we go with them side by side. The power rests in us. We have to coordinate effort collectively, regardless of our certificates, regardless of our qualifications. We have to develop that link and sustain it. Some of the speakers were saying that some women are saying leaderships are keeping away. This may be true, but then how do we answer to that quest? We have to always keep on trying and trying, despite our busy schedules, to try to get to these women through our Ministry of Gender, down to the grassroots. Because these women in the grassroots, at the end of the day, during elections, they are the ones who are going to support us women. And you know, we have population of women is more than men. If we manage to make them understand what it is for a woman to be in the political arena, I think they will all be interested to join politics. This is another way for us to sensitize them. We have to impact woman is a vital political partner, a vital political partner. We also have to incorporate gender equality issues, not only on temporary basis. In the constitution making process, there are women there. If we don't make sure that these issues of gender equality is incorporated in the body of the constitution, it's going to be a transitional issue. So we make sure that it's incorporated in the body. Yani lazim musawa bitamarade bineziru fi sulubata dastur عشان بيفضلوا هناك. It is very important. The moment it's incorporated in the constitution to address issues, then we'll talk that it is our right to call for what is to be done to us. It will never be a choice. It's a right. It's not you. It's the constitution that has given you. So you stand up and say, no, we are underrepresented. The constitution is giving me this and this and this and that. We have got all the legal frameworks in place that support women at the international, regional, and national level. We have got the Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan. It's talking about the affirmative action. Okay, it's already embodied in the constitution, so there's no way it can be something transitional or temporary. In the same way, the 35% has to be embodied in the constitution. Because the 25% was there, this one also in the constitution making process, it has to be incorporated. This gives us the strength. The National Action Plan prepared by the Minister of Gender is excellent. It gives us the 4 pillars where we'll have the right to ask for what is to be done for us. It gives us the right to play politics, the right to ask for a protection whenever it is violated, because it is by law now. It's not an issue of sympathy. It's not an issue of asking or requesting. You have to go through it by law. And when you impact the political pool and you sensitize women and the public the importance of women participation in politics, you will get the support, believe you me. But if you don't do that homework, however much we struggle, all the role played by women in politics and peace building will be impeded. We have to make a proper gender equality analysis so that what we do does not get impeded. And as I said before, this is not only our responsibility, it is a joint responsibility. Men can play politics, go on with peace building, but they cannot go far without women. With women, they will create a better world. Women is the backbone of the human universe. Because women start taking care of the human universe right from day one until the human person grows up. And the characteristics is first being built by a woman. That is why, right from that time, woman is confident that they are going to have this child, and they're going to bring up this child to serve the human universe. And that kind of confidence, you will never find it only in a woman. So our homework, after exploring the rights given to us in the Political Party Act, in the Constitution, in the UNCR Resolution 1325, in the NAP, in the CEDAW, we have to mobilize and make everybody recognize and realize that these are not just ink on paper. These are documents that helps to improve the human livelihood. It's our work as women. During the agreement, the dialogue, the peace dialogue, women came together from the civil society, from faith-based politicians, businesswomen. They were in solidarity. That's why they managed to penetrate the hall and come out with signatories and come up with a quota of 35%. They did make sacrifices. Nobody was responsible to the accommodations, transport of most of them. They took it, they sacrificed it from the little saving they have made. So why can't we women come up collectively and mobilize our other women to recognize what we know now about politics, the benefits of politics to women? Let us mobilize and make them understand this so that they can stand with us and they can sensitize the public, especially our male partners, to recognize the importance of women as vital political partners, not just being picked up to decorate the political arena that there's a woman representative there. No. Women can do better than this. And also, the Minister of Agriculture mentioned about education. It is very important to incorporate in school curricula the issue of gender equality, so that from youth, the girls and boys grow together and know that there is gender equality. The only difference between them is the biological difference. They have the same brains, they have the same capacity, they are engineers, they are lawyers, they are politicians, they are teachers. So they grow up in that atmosphere to build a better world for peaceful coexistence. Having said that, I wouldn't like to go more far, but it is our joint responsibility to promote and sensitize the issue of gender equality. It's also our responsibility to create public awareness and campaign, as I said, on women's representation and meaningful political participation. I think this is the root cause of why we don't always achieve what we want. We don't have that voice to back us of the violation of our rights. Brothers and sisters, having said that, I really thank you, and I tell you, together, we can make it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Engineer Teresa Cerizo Ero. I think today we had an insight from different women with different sets of skills. We've listened to women lawyers, we've listened to our ministers, political parties, and I really want to thank all the panelists for doing an excellent job. We're running behind schedule, and I think we have to break here and go for lunch for 1 hour, and then we resume our program. The Q&A will be after lunch. So thank you so much for doing a great job. Honorable Aya will lead us, will lead our ministers and our dignitaries to the restaurant to have our lunch, and Gladys will be there to also direct all of you. Thank you so much.